Today I'm going to be working on a Yamaha Generator EF6300ISDE. And what I got to do is take this panel off and then get in there and replace the fuel lines. The shop manual that I bought when I bought this unit said you're supposed to replace the fuel lines since, every 5 years. And I bought this thing in 2017, so it's been a while. Okay, let me get this panel off right here and get set up, and then we'll continue this. All right, let's update this a little bit. In order to get to these fuel lines, it seems like everything's behind this panel. So what I'm going to do is take this off. Got to remove these bolts right here. I already had to take the front trim off, and I took one end panel off. I didn't have to, because actually the screw right here in that one would have just let that slide out, but I didn't know that, so that's something to remember. This screw right here on each of those end panels, you pull those out and this trim will come out. Of course, you got to take out all the screws that go in that hold that on, but that's how you get that off. So I'm getting down to the part where I can take this control panel off so I can get behind it to access the fuel lines. This is the on and off fuel valve, and of course everything's behind it on this. So I'm going to take this off and see if that don't give me better access to those fuel lines I got to replace. Okay, well that's about it for now. I'll update it in a little bit. Okay, this is my oops moment. When trying to take this off, it's not like other knobs you've come into. You can't just pry it off. What you got to do, there's a bolt that goes right in here into that little bolt holder right there. And that's what actually holds the fuel on and off valve. You take that out and you just slide it right out. This thing is somehow held in there in this stupid casing. So I just busted this. I mean, it'll still work, but it looks tacky as hell. So that's my big oops moment for today. All right. Now that I can get to this, I'm going to see if I can manipulate this out of the way somehow to get the fuel lines back in here. Right down here, right there where I'm touching with the light, that's the fuel line to the tank, right there. And that comes down to this on and off valve. Okay, well let me see what I can get. What else I can screw up? There's still parts available for this, so I'll just order another knob. Okay, let me see if I can get these off and replace those hoses. Here's what I got done so far. I replaced this hose that was here, which is this one. I replaced this with this. And I also changed out these cheap fuel line clips. These aren't really good. You compress them and they lose tension. So what I used was that right there. That's these. They're a lot better. They hold better. So anyway, all right, the one going to the carburetor is on there. Now, the one I'm taking off now is the one that comes from the fuel tank to the shutoff valve. Let's see if I can get a little better light on it. Okay, I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's right down there. Right there. Right where this light pointing, right there. See it? So I got to take that one off and remove that fuel line, take it loose from the fuel shut off, and then hopefully I got a hose that fits it, fuel line. Now, here's where they got sneaky, okay? This line that goes to the carburetor is smaller than this line. See the difference? And you couldn't see it because with this put back up in its spot, you can't see the fuel line. So I'm not a really happy camper about Yamaha right now. If you go to look for these fuel lines on the Yamaha website, you can't find them. All right, well, let me get this fuel line off, see what size it is, and hopefully in my menagerie of things I got a fuel line that's the same size as this one. All right, well, let me continue on. Here's that knob I broke. I can still use it, but I'm going to order another one. And of course, when I get it, I'll take this open and replace it. That's another thing I'm kind of ticked off at Yamaha about. Okay, enough of me griping. On with it. Okay, I've got the other big line in there. Noticed I used a good fuel clamp on it. And it's in up there at the gas tank good. Right there. You can see it just past the light. Right there. I think. There it is. Okay, that's in good. Got a new line coming from the tank to the on and off valve. And this is the one going out to the carburetor. So I got to mount this back up behind here. So let's see how that goes. And then I'm not going to replace these. The canister, these hoses are pretty good. They're not hard. I just wanted to get the important ones coming from the fuel tank going to the carburetor. That was the most important because I didn't want it to leak and set the whole thing on fire. Okay, yeah, let me connect it up to the carburetor and we're done with the fuel lines. Okay, I've got everything back on. I've got the trim, remounted the panel. I buried that switch up. If I can find the pieces, I'll use some super glue. If not, it still works. So, that's where you learn, is through mistakes. But anyway, I got this on, got the trim back on, got that in panel on, got all the screws back in it. All I got left to do is put the front on it and put the 6 screws in it. And then I got to open the other side and change the air filter in it. Okay, well, looks like we got some uglies moving in over there. So I might get done just in time. All right, let me shut up and finish up what I was doing. Well, as you can see, I ran out of time. We got storm clouds moving in. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that back in the little shed for it. I didn't get the air cleaner changed out, but I'll do that later when I put the gas back in it and run it. I'll change it out before I run it. Okay, that's it. I gotta put the cover on it and get it back in there. That's gonna be fun. That thing's over 200 pounds. Okay, that's it.